Look at it. Really look at it. This isn't just a building being boarded up. This isn't a strategic pivot or a rebalancing of assets. You are looking at the visceral collapse of the American social contract. While you were distracted by the latest 24-hour outrage cycle, the political theater, the celebrity scandals, the AI revolution that promised to make us all gods while stealing our dignity, the physical world just signaled a code red. Walmart, the ultimate predator of the retail landscape, the titan that spent 40 years systematically murdering every local business in its path to achieve total dominance, is retreating. They aren't just closing stores. They are evacuating the battlefield. The mainstream media, those manicured mouthpieces at Bloomberg, CNBC, and MSNBC, are currently feeding you the institutional framing script. They've been told to use words like efficiency, omnichannel optimization, and the favorite scapegoat of the year, retail shrinkage. They want you to believe this is a localized issue of unruly shoplifters and organized crime. What a beautiful, sterile, pathetic lie. Do you really think a $600 billion behemoth with the most sophisticated logistical surveillance network in human history, a company that tracks a pallet of toilet paper from a factory in Vietnam to a shelf in Idaho with the precision of a heat-seeking missile, is surrendering its territory because of a few kids stealing Tide Pods? Don't be a fool. Retail theft is the institutional smokescreen. It is the polite way of saying, the cost of maintaining the illusion of civilization in this zip code has finally surpassed the profit of selling you poison. Let's perform the autopsy on your ignorance. When Walmart leaves a neighborhood, they aren't just closing a store. They are declaring that entire region economically dead. They are saying that the velocity of money, the heartbeat of your community, has hit zero. They are saying that the people in that area are no longer consumers. They are liabilities. You've been conditioned to believe that as long as the S&P 500 is printing green candles, the world is fine. You think that because your 401k is nominally up by 8% this year, you're winning. But look at the shelves in the stores that are still open. Have you noticed the out-of-stock tags that stay up for weeks? Have you noticed the facing, where they pull the remaining boxes of crackers to the front of the shelf to hide the cavernous void behind them? That isn't a supply chain hiccup. That is the controlled demolition of the just-in-time JIT delivery system. The institutions, the sharks I used to sit next to on the desks in Manhattan, they aren't worried about Walmart's quarterly earnings. They've already hedged that. They are watching the social cohesion index. They know that a man with a full belly is a citizen, but a man with an empty fridge and a maxed-out credit card is a riot waiting for a match. The institutional framing here is simple. They want you to blame the poor or the criminals or the opposing political party so you don't look at the Federal Reserve. They want you to ignore the fact that the purchasing power of your dollar has been incinerated in a furnace of infinite debt. The reason the shelves are empty is not because there is no food in the world. It's because the currency used to move that food is dying in real time. The just-in-time miracle was built on 3 pillars: cheap energy, stable currencies, and global peace. All 3 are currently on fire. The institutions have realized that holding physical inventory in a high inflation, high volatility environment is no longer an asset. It's a target. They are moving to a ghost store model, warehouses you can't enter, guarded by private security and automated drones, while the public front-end stores are left to rot like the carcasses of a bygone era. And I'm talking to you. The one sitting there in a suburban living room, clutching a smartphone, thinking, "This won't happen in my neighborhood. This is just for the bad areas." You are a special kind of deluded. You are exactly 3 missed diesel shipments away from the same desperation. Your wealth is digital. It is a series of ones and zeros on a server that requires a functioning power grid and a compliant population to have any value. Can you eat your NVIDIA stock? Can you fill your gas tank with the equity in your overpriced 1,500 square foot box? The panic in the headline isn't for the people in the video clips who are standing in front of chained Walmart doors. They are already living the reality. The panic is for you, who still believes the system will be there to catch you when you fall. You're like a passenger on the Titanic who thinks they're safe because the band is still playing and the lights are still on in the ballroom. But down in the boiler room, in the footnotes of the 10K filings, in the repo market spreads, in the freight recession data, the water is already waist deep. The American way of life was a credit-fueled fever dream. Walmart was the pharmacy that provided the drugs. Now the pharmacy is closing, and the withdrawal is going to be violent. The always low prices slogan wasn't a promise, it was a tether. It was the bait that kept you dependent on a globalized machine that hates you. And now that the machine is breaking under the weight of its own corruption, the tether is being cut. You're not watching a retail decline. You're watching the redlining of the American middle class. You are being told, silently but clearly, that you are no longer worth the logistical effort of keeping fed. They'll keep the markets propped up for a few more months, maybe a year, with buyback schemes and liquidity injections to give the insiders, the C-suite vampires, and the institutional desks enough time to find the exit. And while you're cheering for the Dow hitting a new arbitrary number, you'll drive to your local store to find the doors chained shut, the parking lot overgrown with weeds, and a sign that might as well say, "The party is over. You weren't invited to the after-party. Good luck with the hunger." The panic isn't coming. It's here. It's just that most of you are too busy looking at your screens to see the shadow of the axe. Welcome to the end of the consumer era. The lights are flickering, the shelves are bare, and the predator is moving to the next feeding ground. Look at that screen, that cascading waterfall of red. You wanted the deep meat, didn't you? You wanted to know the why behind the empty aisles and the shuttered doors. You wanted the data. But here's the problem. You're still looking at the world through the lens of a consumer instead of a predator. You think this is a retail crisis. It's not. It's a liquidity autopsy. In the rooms where I used to sit, we didn't give a damn about customer satisfaction or community impact. We looked at the real-time velocity of money and the shadow banking spreads. What you are witnessing is a strategic, cold-blooded evacuation of capital from the physical world. The data doesn't lie, but it does scream. While you were distracted by the latest 24-hour outrage cycle, the institutional smart money was offloading massive blocks of retail exposure in the dark pools. There is a record-breaking divergence between the public price you see on your trading app and the private sentiment that is currently gutting the American heartland. The insiders aren't waiting for the crash. They are the ones pulling the plug. They are selling you the future of retail at a premium, while they hoard hard assets, physical gold, and short-term treasuries in private vaults. They know that the retail footprint is a sinking ship, and they've already secured the lifeboats. Take a hard look at the freight recession. The arteries of the country are clogging in real time. The volume of goods moving across the highway system hasn't just slowed. It has cratered to levels that make 2008 look like a minor speed bump. Why? Because the consumer is a walking corpse kept upright by the rigor mortis of debt. When a giant like Walmart closes a store, it's a mathematical calculation of the yield per gallon. If the cost of the diesel required to get a truck to your zip code is higher than the projected spend of your bankrupt neighborhood, you get redlined. You are being cut off from the global supply chain. The empty shelves aren't a glitch. They are a calculated withdrawal of service. They are deciding right now who is worth the logistical effort to keep alive and who is a surplus population. And don't get me started on the theft narrative. That is the most pathetic smokescreen I've ever seen. Do you really think a $600 billion behemoth is surrendering territory because of shoplifting? No. It's the insurance premium death spiral. Actuarial tables have reclassified your suburbs as non-insurable. When the cost to insure the inventory exceeds the net profit margin, the store closes. Period. It's the actuaries, not the activists, who are deciding your fate. The numbers have determined that the social cohesion in your area has dissolved, and the institutions are simply reacting to the math. They see the credit card delinquency spike. They see people using buy now, pay later schemes just to afford eggs and milk. They know the debt wall is hit in Q4, and they are moving to the sidelines before the collision. The Federal Reserve isn't your friend, and they aren't fighting inflation. They are managing a liquidity heart attack. The money is no longer flowing into the real economy, the main street where you live. It's being sucked into the reverse repo facility and the too-big-to-fail vaults. The reason those shelves are bare is that the cost of carry has exploded. When you can get a 5% risk-free return on T-bills, why would any rational corporation take the risk of stocking a shelf in a town where half the residents are on government assistance? They wouldn't, and they aren't. They are shedding load, and you, the consumer, are the load being shed. This is the energy ROI in action. It takes more energy to find energy every single year, and the Walmart model required infinite, cheap energy to function. We have moved into a high-cost energy regime where the just-in-time miracle is becoming a just-too-expensive nightmare. The empty shelf is a symptom of energy poverty. The system is contracting. The expansion that defined your entire life is over. The always low prices slogan was a mathematical impossibility in a world of double-digit shadow inflation. To maintain the illusion of low prices, they have to cut staff, cut service, and eventually cut the store itself. They'd rather leave the shelf empty than show you that a gallon of milk actually costs $12 in real debased dollar terms. And here is the darkest part, the deep meat that no one wants to swallow. The institutions are pivoting to an AI-driven, automated fulfillment model. They don't need you as a customer anymore. They are closing the people stores and moving toward dark hubs, warehouses you can't enter, serving the top 10% who still have digital credits to spend. They are realizing that the bottom 60% of the population is no longer an economic engine. They are a social management problem. The empty shelves are the first signs of the economic partition. You are being locked out of the system in real time, and you're still standing there with a coupon in your hand, wondering when the restock is coming. The truck isn't coming. The driver was laid off, the diesel was too expensive, the insurance was canceled, and the smart money already bet on your neighborhood's demise. The data horror isn't that the system is breaking, it's that the system is optimizing for a world that doesn't include you. The predators have moved to higher ground, and they are watching through thermal lenses as you wander through the ruins of a retail empire, looking for bread that will never arrive. The heart rate monitor is flatlining. The data is clear. The consumer era didn't just end, it was liquidated. You are no longer an asset to the machine. You are inventory that has been marked down to zero. Welcome to the vacuum. Welcome to the silence of the empty aisle. The execution has already begun. The only question left is, how much longer will you keep staring at that empty shelf before you realize you're the one being consumed? So, here we are. The lights are out, the doors are chained, and the always low prices sign is nothing but a rusted relic of a civilization that traded its soul for the convenience of a plastic bag. You've seen the autopsy of the retail corpse. You've looked into the black hole of the data. Now it's time for the verdict. This is the part where the music stops, the institutional framing falls away, and you have to look into the mirror and realize that the person staring back at you is a ghost in a machine that has already hit the delete key. The verdict is simple, and it's meant to hurt. You were never a citizen to these people. You were a data point. You were a yield to be harvested, and now that the soil of the American economy has been salted with debt and devalued currency, the harvesters are moving to a different field. The Walmart closing isn't a tragedy for the board of directors. It's a successful extraction of remaining value. They squeezed the life out of your local economy, killed the competition, made you dependent on their logistics, and now that the logistics are failing, they're leaving you in the dark. This is the ghost protocol. This is the moment where the system officially detaches itself from the population. If you're waiting for a pivot from the Fed to save your grocery store, or a stimulus check to fill those empty shelves, you are mentally paralyzed. The safety net you think you have is made of the same fiat paper that is currently burning in the furnace of inflation. In a world where Walmart, the ultimate symbol of American abundance, can no longer justify the cost of its own existence in your neighborhood, normal is a word that belongs in a history book. So what do? You stop being a consumer. That's the first step to survival. The consumer is a domestic animal that waits to be fed. The predator, the version of yourself you need to wake up right now, understands that when the supply chain breaks, you become the supply chain. You stop looking at the screen for buy signals and start looking at the physical world for survival signals. You move your wealth out of the digital illusions of the brokerage accounts and into things that have intrinsic utility. If you can't hold it, if you can't eat it, if you can't use it to defend what's yours, you don't own it. You only have a claim on it, and in a liquidation event, the claims of the little guy are the first things to be shredded. You need to embrace the cold execution. You need to look at your lifestyle and start cutting the fat before the machine cuts it for you. Every recurring subscription, every debt-fueled vanity project, every reliance on a centralized system that is currently blinking red, discard it. You have to become a ghost to the system. The more you rely on the grid, the more you are at the mercy of the people who are currently shutting it down. The ghost protocol means building your own just-in-case system to replace their just-in-time failure. It means localized networks, it means hard assets, and it means a psychological hardening that most of you haven't felt since your ancestors were fighting for survival in the dirt. The institutions I worked for, they've already moved on. They are looking at the post-consumer landscape. They are investing in private security, independent energy grids, and alternative sovereign jurisdictions. They are building a world where they don't need a middle class to sustain them. They have the robots, they have the AI, and they have the remaining resources. They are leaving you with the empty Walmarts and the useless debt. The panic you feel right now? That's the only honest thing you felt in years. Don't suppress it. Use it. Let it drive you to walk away from the burning building of the retail dream. Stop being the person who complains about the empty shelves and start being the person who doesn't need them. The Walmart era was a beautiful, hollow lie. It gave you the illusion of wealth while it stripped you of your self-sufficiency. Now the bill has come due, and the price is everything you thought you knew. The verdict is in. The American middle class is being off-boarded. You are being deleted from the ledger of the future. You can sit there and wait for the restock truck that will never come, or you can accept the cold execution and start moving. The institutions have already made their choice. They chose the dark pools and the ghost hubs. They chose to leave you behind. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be okay. It's not. It's going to be brutal, it's going to be cold, and it's going to be very, very quiet. The always low prices are gone. The always empty shelves are the new reality. Survival isn't about buying the dip anymore. It's about escaping the collapse. The ghost protocol is active. The machine is moving on. The predator is already in the next zip code while you're still staring at the closed sign. This is the end of the script. This is the end of the show. The screen is going black, and this time, it's not coming back on. Stay alive. Or don't. The math doesn't care either way. The session is terminated.